Hi, my name's Kim and this is my first video. So I've been wanting to really share videos for a couple of weeks now. I get a lot of guidance coming through from the guides that I connect with, and they've been saying, Kim, share it, and the mind in me goes, no, 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 I've got to be more perfect, I've got to do this, got to do that, got to do this. And then I'm sitting here, it's 42 degrees outside, it's very gusty, and the guys just said, do it now. And I went, okay. So I didn't get changed. I just didn't wait for better weather. Here I am. So there's so much to share. I've been having really cool conversations with my guides for about 5 months now. So I'm still really fresh at it. My mind still gets in there and goes, what am I actually hearing this? Should I trust this? Because that's what the mind does. And it's what I've learned is that the mind is not us. So people ask me when I'm teaching them how to connect with their guides is, how can I tell the difference between my mind and, the thoughts I'm hearing from my higher self or from the guides that might be around. And what I found is the mind has a very specific way of talking. So the mind ultimately wants to keep us safe. So it's not about hating your mind, the part of you that's always a bit scared, always doubting, always telling you you're not good enough, that no, you shouldn't do that thing because it's scary, just wait, like I did with these videos. It only took me a few weeks to get it out of that. It's just trying to keep us safe. So we need to love the mind. It wants to keep us, it wants control. Basically, the mind wants to know what's going to happen next week. It wants to know what's going to happen in 3 months. In 6 months' time, where am I going to be? If you're going about your day, like, are you getting enough done? So I've definitely found that the mind is what creates my personal overwhelm and anxiety. So I run 2 full-time businesses, and I for years have been stressed, and since adding the second business just over a year ago, been very overwhelmed with the amount of stuff to do. And it's been so lovely in the last 5 or 6 months to really pare that back and to be like, well, hang on a second, what's actually the problem here? And it's all in the mind. And so the more I connect with my inner self, my heart, my intuition, my gut, I discover that it's a calm place to be. There's never any problems when you listen to your heart or your guides. Anytime I say, oh God, what about this? What about that? The answer is always like, it's fine. You don't need to push. You don't need to try. You don't need to do things fast. And most of the overwhelm comes from when the mind thinks that you have to do something a particular way. So it's the control. It goes, in order to do this, you need to do it like this, and if you don't do it like that, people aren't going to like you, you're going to let people down, you're not going to get enough done, you're not going to succeed. And I've just kind of explored, well, what is success? Like the higher self, it's always saying, you are successful in this moment. What is in this moment right now? So, everyone's been talking about how to be present, stay in the present moment for, God, hundreds of years probably. And so what I've really discovered is that literally the future doesn't exist in terms of the mind wants to know what the future is so it can control it. But really all we have is this present moment. And yes, future realities exist. So this idea that all timelines are running at the same time, because time isn't linear, it's looping. And so we have all these different timelines that are possible in the future. So the future does exist in that way, but the mind wants to kind of go, oh, what's happening next week? What's happening? And am I going to be okay? And it comes down to just wanting to be okay. So when you tap into that higher self, that higher guidance, and it's constantly telling you everything is okay, and if you hear it long enough and you start to believe and you start to go, okay, I can breathe. That's all you need to do, and is just breathe. Really accept that everything is okay in this present moment. that nothing ever goes wrong. So something my guides tell me all the time is everything is always right. Because even when the mind perceives that something's going wrong, it's just an experience. It's something to learn from. It's still taking us on our path. So how can it be wrong if it's still going to get us to where we want to be, where our soul wants us to be? So the more we sort of align with our soul, our higher self, and I call them all the same things. So I might call it inner voice, intuition, heart, gut, higher self, inner being. So all names that people call that otherness, that other energetic part of us that is guiding us in our physical body. So here on this physical plane where time and space create our reality, what is that energetic part of ourself that is also guiding us, that can see the bigger picture, that knows where we want to go? So our mind has an idea of where we want to go, but where does our soul want to go? And maybe that's a little bit different to what our mind wants. Maybe it's an even better place. And so that's also a nice thing about listening to your guidance and trusting it. God knows the trust part is the hard thing, because they tell you to do stuff and you go, like, Kim, do a video right now. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. No, it's fun. So, so it's about trusting that guidance. And when you do, you find that you're in a really cool place. Way better than what your mind can construct. Because your mind can see this much. How can it know what's down the street? It can't. So it's really nice to just sit back, relax, allow. There's that word allow, comes up a lot. So everyone's guidance might be a little bit different. But for me, mine says rest and relax a lot. Rest, relax, allow. Don't try. And that's hard for the mind, especially as a recovering perfectionist, a recovering type A, a recovering overdoer, a recovering to-do lister. How to trust that whatever has to be done in the moment is the right thing to be done. Because I'm like, I've got all this stuff to do, I've got to do this and then this and this, and if it doesn't get done, the world's going to crash, or, something bad's going to happen. And my guides tell me, they're like, yes, you might get less stuff done by flowing. And I can talk about flow in another video because that's a whole other thing. But when you flow, you might get less done because you're not pushing as much, but the stuff that needs to get done will get done. That's what they tell me. They say you'll get less stuff done, but what needs to get done will get done. That's the sentence I hear. So it's actually having conversations. Actually, like people go, but do you actually hear what they're saying, or is this kind of an intuitive feeling that you're interpreting? And for me, I hear conversations. So I can ask any question I want, and I get answers. The only time I don't get answers is if they don't want me to know the answer. So if the mind is trying to go, but what's going to happen in 3 months' time? Should I do this? Blah, 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 and they kind of go, you don't need to know that right now. Or sometimes my mind will block it. So the mind sometimes will just be like, I don't want to know that just yet. And so you just won't hear anything. And there's ways around that. You can ask other questions and stuff. So I've just found it to be really calming. Just beautiful. Like the last 5 or 6 months have completely changed my life, and I want to share that with as many people as possible about how they can do it. And the people I've already taught, it's great being able to hear them kind of really sit back and tune into themselves and to quieten the mind. That's the greatest blessing, to get out of anxiety, to get out of overwhelm, to get out of stress, because God knows what that does to our bodies. Well, we all know what that does to our bodies. We're learning more and more. So to be out of that stress cycle, and to really sit back and trust and relax, it's an amazing journey, and I really want to help other people get into that as well. So I guess this is a little introductory video about some thoughts, and I could go on and on and on. So I'll definitely do some more videos. I definitely want to talk about what flow is. I know it's bandied around a lot, like just flow, but how does that actually work? What does that look like? So I want to definitely talk about that. I'd love to talk about, the different ways you can interpret what you hear. Am I hearing from my mind? Am I hearing from my higher self? What does that feel like? What's the difference between the two? Because sometimes the mind will pipe in and pretend to be the higher self. and you have to kind of learn to recognize what's going on there. It's a different vibration. So yes, so thank you for tuning in. Very exciting, and yeah, I really look forward to sharing more videos with you. Mwah! Have a great day.